Good morning, Camille. How are you doing today?
Good. Yes. Very excited for this case. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, where are you in your college career right now? Senior year?
Senior year, I'm currently like recruiting for full time. I'm actually a Feb, so I do have an extra semester after this year. So I'm determining if I want to graduate this May because I have enough credits lined up, but I could also potentially be graduating in February. But either way, in the full recruiting cycle, been going through some interviews. So it's been an interesting time.
Got it, got it. Yeah, so I can imagine it's a busy time. So firstly, thank you for making the time to talk to us today. Uh, I appreciate it. I remember my college times, and it was always a struggle to make time for interviews and everything else that goes along with it. So I appreciate your presence
Thank
here
you,
today.
Ravi. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. The case I have for you today, Camille, without beating around the bush, is a very interesting case which I actually worked on in my time, uh, as recently as last year. So, if you're ready, should I begin?
Sure. All set.
Yeah, got it. So your client, Camille, manufactures feta and a variety of other cheeses from a single cheese factory in Greece. The factory buys its milk from local cows and it distributes its cheese via distributors, 50% of total production, and company-owned trucks, the other 50% of production. The domestic cheese market is large with slow overall growth. However, the client is known as an innovator and in particular is the leader in the fast-growing prepackaged cheese segment. However, company profitability is down. Right? We would love to hear more from you, Camille, about the causes for this decline and the new opportunities for growth for our client.
Thank you, Ravi, for this case. I'm actually Dutch, so cheese is very close to home for me. Let's see if what my knowledge gives me. So I just wanted to reiterate the case back to you real quick, see if I got all the details. I think I might be missing a few percentages that you mentioned. But so our client is a cheese factory in Greece that produces milk from local cows. And then you mentioned that the distributors are company-owned trucks, 3%. And you mentioned something else. I quickly wanted to ask you what the other distributor channel was.
Distributors, so third-party
Okay.
distributors. Yeah.
And was there a percentage associated with that?
Yeah, 50%. So both are 50%. I believe you said 3%, but it's actually 50%, 50.
Okay, 15.
Yeah,
Okay,
five
okay,
zero, 50, 50.
50. Oh, okay, okay. So
Yeah,
even split.
yeah,
Thank you.
even split. Yeah,
Great. All right.
yeah.
And so our client is an innovator and a leader specifically in the prepackaged cheese sector. And unfortunately has been seeing some profitability issues over the last few years. And so we're looking to turn that around. Is that more or less what you had in mind for the case?
Yeah, that's correct. But before we turn it around, we also kind of want to diagnose why it is that we're uh, lagging behind on profitability. So it's first identify the causes for decline, and second, the opportunities for growth.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now I have a few follow-up questions just to get the specifics down for myself. I mean, first and foremost, I would like to ask more about the objective that you just talked about. So identify the causes and find any opportunities for growth. Are there certain benchmarks that our clients looking for, certain like internal measures for success that they need to hit?
Uh, I think there are, but we'll get to that when we get there. I think
Great.
I'll get back to you on that. Yeah.
Great, great. Okay. And the other question I had is maybe to understand the business model a little bit more. Um, the client is specifically an innovator within prepackaged cheese sectors. Do they sell other products as well, or is that the majority of their sales?
No, I think we have a fair mixes across cheeses, prepackaged cheese, but also fresh cheese, goat cheese, you name it, we sell it.
Great.
So there's no such segmentation, of our product. We're the leader in prepackaged cheese, but we also produce other kind of cheeses.
Gotcha. Great. Okay. And then my final question is, I just kind of want to understand a little bit of the geography of this business. Does our client operate solely in the in Europe and in Greece specifically, or do they also ship products abroad? What does that look like?
I think it's mostly Europe. Yeah, and in fact, mostly in Greece. I would say we can forget the rest of the world. Let's focus on Greece for now.
Great. Okay. So with those questions, I think I have a good idea of where I would like to go next. If I could have 2 to 3 minutes just to draw up my framework.
Absolutely, go for it.
Thank you. Okay, great. So I would like to walk you through the way I structured my framework here. Um,
Mhm.
so given that this is a profitability case, my first and second segment that I'd like to look at is the on the sales side as well as the cost side to see if this is um, what side of the profitability like coin this case lands. And then as my third segment, I would like to look at the competitive landscape to see if there's maybe an industry-wide trends going on. And then finally, I would like to look at any other external factors such as like trade, tariffs, legislation changes, something like that. So just to go through more in detail, in my first my segment on the revenue side, I would first like to look at the quantity. So have we seen an increase or decrease? How our product offerings, have been fluctuating over the last few years? Are we doing bulk shipping? Um, are we simply just producing less? Is this a production issue? And if so, can we up our capacity? Or on the other side, is this maybe a price thing? And are we, what kind of pricing strategy have we employed over the last few years? Are we meeting each other at the cost level, or are we like getting a certain premium? How does our price compare to like the industry standard? Just like take a look at that. And then so on the second segment, on the cost side, I want to see, from the various cost buckets that we have in our on these farms, such as cow feed, any sort of like farm equipment, our distributor channels, any sort of HR costs associated with this business. If there's been fluctuation there, just to get a sense if costs have been stable or not. And then on our third segment, looking at the competitive landscape, have there been recent entries into the market, or have there been any sort of like competitive price wars going on that have taken a chunk of our share? Are we seeing any like new technologies that are outcompeting our own industries? Anything of that sort that's adding more pressure to the market? And then finally, for the last segment, that was external factors. I just want to get a sense if this is a problem that's maybe affecting larger parts of Greece. So maybe not just the dairy industry, but could also be hitting, any of the other food-related industries in terms of legislation that's gone up, any environmental policies that are creating like subsidies or pressures on our export products, any sort of maybe cultural conflicts within our company, something more on the softer side that's maybe harder to define. I would just like to take a look at those metrics. So if if that kind of framework sounds good to you, I think my first instinct would be to take a look at the revenue side of things and specifically the quantity and the price of our product.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you for that, Camille. Give me 2 seconds to just gather my thoughts. Got it. Okay. So, so Camille, the way I typically go about things is I do feedback after every round instead of at the end of the case, which gives you a chance to, iteratively improve after every question, and also helps me sort of, give you feedback straight off the bat, right?
Great.
So if you don't mind, we'll go ahead and do that right now. Does that work with you?
That sounds perfect.
Got it. So let's begin with a recap. Great recap, right? I really enjoyed the fact that you brought a personal connection in, right? Your Dutch background and your interest in cheese. Keep doing that, right? Whatever the case may be, there's always some angle that you can bring to it, right? Some personal touch you can bring to it, some personal excitement you can bring to your table. So keep doing that. Great work on that. Uh, the other thing I think you did really, really well on was that you didn't need your notes while recapping the case. You looked into the camera and spoke right back to me, right? So that sort of, it's a subtle touch, but it just shows confidence and sort of command over the material in a way that I'm looking for, right, as an interviewer. So good work on that as well. Overall, the recap was solid. I mean, I know we had some back and forth about 50% or 15%, but that's part of the tech game. It's not on you. It's not on me. It's just the way this interview is structured. So don't worry about that. Um, but in terms of your questions, I think you had good questions, right? You had 3 questions. 3 questions is the maximum. You shouldn't have more than 3, right? Unless you really, really desperately need to. But even I would say keep it at 3, keep it clean. Right? And you had good questions, right? They were uh, uh, sort of probing in the right direction. If I could give you one piece of feedback, it is that the questions could have been a bit more hypothesis driven, right? So when you ask me about the market, right, which market are you looking at, Greece, Europe, the world, uh, say a bit more about why you're interested in that, right? Bring some insight into the table wrapped up into the question as well, right? Similarly, if you ask about a prepackaged cheese segment, right, there's an opportunity to sort of bring in some sort of insight or context from the case itself into your questions, right? So always take that opportunity when you can. Make it hypothesis driven and not just a question for the sake of it, right? Give me a sense of what this question would be helpful to you in answering. Yeah. So I think that's the first piece of feedback I had for you uh, in the recap and the questions. It took you about 3 minutes to go through the questions and the recap, which is like it's all right. So I wouldn't worry about that. Uh, when it comes to structure itself, you took 1 minute 3 seconds to think about a structure, which is I think just about all right. I would say 90 seconds is a sweet spot. Right? You can take up to 2 minutes, and that's okay. But 90 seconds is, I think, the aspiration, right? So if you can be like 10 seconds faster, I would try. I would urge you to sort of go for it. Uh, in terms of the structure itself, I think the first thing I would say is that you should always begin with a recap, right? So our client is XYZ, and we have been tasked with the following 2 objectives. First, identifying why our profitability is down, and second is exploring new avenues for profit making. Let's always set the context once again in your structuring answer as well. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is when giving me your initial structure, you had 4 points: sales, costs, competitive landscape, external factors. Number them at the outset, right? I was kind of like taking them down as you said it, right? And you said it at the beginning, so that's good. It was halfway there, and that you had 4 big buckets and then smaller buckets. But number the 4 buckets from the outset, right? When you're answering my question, you already kind of know how many buckets you have, right? So let me know very clearly that there's 4. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Right? It shouldn't be a surprise to me that there's a fourth one coming. And sometimes it felt like it was in this case, right? So number copiously, right? The only way to sort of make a structure as airtight as possible is to number copiously, number the buckets and also numbering the sub buckets. And here's where I think the biggest opportunity sort of improvement is in the sub buckets, right? It was really hard for me to keep track of how many sub buckets there were within each bucket, right? Ideally, there should be 2 sub buckets in each bucket, right? Or at most 3, right? So it should be very clear when you're looking at sales, you're looking at quantity and price. right? When you're looking at competitive landscape, you're looking at recent entrants and new technology, right? You're looking at external factors, you're looking at the economy-wide metrics,
And
right?
extra, yes, exactly. Legislators and stuff like that. Yes.
Sorry?
No, sorry, keep going. I misheard you.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, yeah. So basically, just keep numbering your sub buckets as well. It was really hard for me to track the sub buckets in terms of numbers in this example, right? So make it very clear how many sub buckets there are, and each sub bucket should not be more than a sentence, right? Don't complicate a sub bucket, right? It should be quantity, by which I'm looking at sort of how much we're selling in raw volume, both compared to our previous history and compared to industry benchmarks. Price, I'm looking at how much we're pricing our product, both in comparison to our costs and also in comparison to our industry benchmark, right? Whatever it is, just keep it simple, keep it one sentence. The minute you have more than a sentence in a sub bucket, it becomes really hard for me to follow your train of thought, right? So in a way, simplicity really sort of helps win the case overall, right? So keep the sub buckets simple. Number copiously. I think the other thing, what you did well in this case, in this structure were two things. One was the examples, right? It really felt like you were talking about cheese and dairy and not about any other sector, right? One thing that a lot of candidates struggle with is sort of making the framework specific to the industry and to the client, right? So to the extent possible, always make sure it's specific to the client, right? For instance, here the costs are about the costs of animal feed, the cost of veterinarian services, the cost of cows, right? The cost of cheese making machines, right? Just be very clear on what the variable costs or the fixed costs are, right? Just make it as contextual to the industry as possible. You did a fairly good job of that. So well done on that. Another thing I really appreciate about your answer was that you had a hypothesis at the end, right? That's really important to have, right? Even in an interviewer-led case like this one, a McKinsey-style interview, it's really important to sort of drive the case forward. Right? I might take the case a different direction, but that's on me, right? But you should always have a clear sense of what is most important for you to evaluate. Yeah. So I said a lot of things. How do you feel?
Great. Yeah. It was really interesting also that you said two sub buckets specifically. That's really useful and only one sentence per sub bucket because I think I have a notion of just like dropping as many bullet points as I can per sub bucket just to show that I can come up with a lot of things, but keeping it concise, that's good advice.
Yeah, keep it concise, especially when you have four buckets to begin with, right? It becomes really hard to track and also takes a lot of time for you to explain, right?
Yeah.
So keep it as concise as possible and keep it to one sentence per sub bucket. That's the way to
Great.
sort of to win, right? Because the minute you have an and in your sub bucket, right, it sort of raises a question in my mind: is if we're on the same sub bucket or on a different sub bucket,
Right.
right? Are we on one A or are we on one B, right? So the minute you use the word and or any other conjunction, I just sort of, mentally I'm in a different place. So avoid using conjunctions and keep it to one simple, syntactically simple sentence. Yeah, got it. Okay, should we move forward or any questions?
Let's move forward.
Yeah, great. Phenomenal. Let me just start my timer again. Just one note on the timing. You took 2.5 minutes approximately to answer answer the case structure. That's about fine. I think 2 minutes is again the sweet spot, but 2.5 minutes is completely fine. So don't worry about it at all. Yeah. Okay. So great. So thank you for your answer, Camille. The client's team has identified certain production efficiencies, and they have tasked us with quantifying the size of the savings, right? So this is the data that we have. Each year, the client makes 1,000 tons of milk into cheese, right? For your reference, 1 ton is 1,000 kgs, and 4 kgs of milk makes 1 kg of cheese, right? This cheese is separated into 2.5 kg blocks, 2.5 kilogram blocks without any wastage, but then is sliced up into 4 blocks of 600 grams each and sold to consumers. The remaining 100 grams is lost as wastage, right? So if we could re-engineer the process to eliminate this wastage, right? How much could we save each year?
It's a question. Okay. I see we're getting into the weeds here a little bit. This is interesting. So I just wanted to reiterate the facts back to you to see that I got them all on paper here. So each year, our client produces around 1,000 tons of milk and converts that into cheese.
Uh-huh.
And one ton is equivalent to 1,000 kilograms. And
Correct.
then 4 tons of milk is equivalent to, and then I didn't catch that second number.
Yeah, 4 kilograms of milk is equivalent to 1 kilogram of cheese.
4 kilograms of milk is 1 kilogram of cheese. Okay, great.
Correct.
Um, and so 2.5 kilograms blocks of cheese is the standard format for how these cheese pieces are separated. And then that can be further separated into 4 blocks of 600 grams each. But obviously there we lose 100 grams of waste product, which is unfortunate. And if we could somehow find a way to reduce that waste, then we might get some savings there. Did I get that right?
Correct. Exactly.
Great, great. Okay, so when I'm looking at these numbers, my first instinct would be to figure out just how much waste we have on an annual basis, considering that we're producing 1,000 tons of milk every year. So if that is in a direction that's interesting to you, I would like to set up the equation so I can figure out just how much waste we have.
Uh-huh.
Great. Okay, so 1,000 tons of cheese will, when 1 ton is 1,000 kilograms, meaning we have 1,000,000 kilograms of cheese every year, so on an annual basis produce. And um, uh, no, sorry, that's okay. No, that's correct. That's correct. And we said 4 kilograms of milk is equivalent to 1 kilograms of cheese.
Mhm.
Okay, but I don't think for so now I might not need that number just yet. Saying that we have 1,000,000 kilograms annually of cheese, splitting that up into 2.5 kilogram blocks, right? That gives us around 440,000. Sorry, no, 400,000. A little less under 400,000. Let's say, yeah, no, sorry, that was correct. 400,000 kilograms or 400 blocks specifically of cheese. And then,
Wait, Camille, sorry to stop you there, but can you walk me through again how you got to 400,000 grams?
yes. So
Yeah.
we said that each year we produce 1,000 tons of milk.
Hmm.
And we said that, oh, okay, we produce that into cheese. Sorry, okay, I misread that. My apologies. So 1,000 tons of milk. So that gives us 1,000,000 kilograms of annual cheese. Um, or no, it gives 1,000,000 kilograms of milk. Sorry, the conversion is not made yet.
Hmm.
Um, and then we said 4 kilograms of milk is equivalent to 1 kilogram of cheese. So we just divide
Hmm.
that number by 4, right? Which gives
Hmm.
us around 250,000 kilograms of cheese. And then
Hmm.
we said 2.5 kilograms blocks each. So in other words, we have around 10,000 blocks of cheese because we're dividing that number by 2.5. And then each of those blocks is 600 grams.
Can you confirm that? How many blocks do you need? How many blocks do you have?
Yes. Sorry, it's 100,000. Apologies, I missed the
Hmm.
zero there.
Okay, sounds good.
100,000 blocks of cheese. And then 4 blocks of 600 grams each. That's how we split that up. So that we further divide that into 25,000. No, sorry, that's a little more. So it's 2.5 million of those smaller blocks of cheese. But that gives us
2.5 million.
as if we're saying that 100,000 blocks can be separated into 4.
Hmm.
Uh, oh, sorry. Then it's 400,000. Sorry, yeah, 400,000 um,
Hmm.
of those smaller blocks. But that also gives us around um, that's 10. 10 million grams in waste, which is around 10,000 kilograms. Or that is exactly 10,000 kilograms of waste. Does that number sound?
Wait, sorry, I lost you for a second. So you had 400,000 blocks of cheese of 600 grams
Yeah, so 600
each,
gram
right?
cheese. Yes, yes.
Okay, and how did you calculate the wastage again?
So I assume that from those bigger blocks of 2.5 kilograms, uh,
Yeah.
we um, uh, for every single of those blocks being converted, we lose around 100 grams of waste. So
Uh-huh.
I multiplied that 100,000 number by 100 grams,
Uh-huh.
which gave me like 10 million. That's grams,
Hmm.
so I converted that to kilograms. So that's 10,000 kilograms.
Got it.
Um, so 10,000 kilograms of waste, if that is a number that is accurate, is a significant amount, uh, considering that we're only producing around 250,000 kilograms of cheese
Hmm.
annually. Specifically, it's almost five, or sorry, 0.5%. So I think that number could definitely be reduced if we manage to find ways uh, to lose that waste product in the process. So if my natural instinct would be to maybe look at the price that we're selling these products at, so that we get an idea of the damage this is doing in terms of a dollar amount. If you have any information on our
Yeah,
pricing.
absolutely. So I know that the cost of milk is 0.5 euros per kg.
0.5 euros per kg. Okay,
Yeah.
great. And okay, and does that conversion hold when we make it to cheese? Or I guess what I could do here, I'm just thinking out loud, is that I could uh, like turn that kilograms of waste back to milk to kind of get a sense of how much waste we're losing in dollar amount in terms of milk. Would that be the way forward here?
Mhm. Why not? Yeah, go for it.
Great. Okay, so we have around 10,000 kilograms of cheese in waste.
Hmm.
And so we know that the conversion is 1,000 kilograms of cheese. Sorry, 1 kilogram of cheese is around 1,000 tons of milk.
Hmm.
So in other words, this gives us around 10,000 um, kilograms of milk that's being wasted.
Hmm.
Um, and uh, multiply that by 0.5 gives
Hmm.
us uh, so 2 million euros uh, waste for the milk that is not being used in the process, which $2 million for a smaller like local farm operating domestically in Greece is a very high number. Farms on average tend to be very close to their cost level, and so this is not something that they can afford to lose. So here we definitely see an opportunity for cost savings. And I would like to look at maybe a production process to find out how we can, or brainstorm ways that we can reduce this wastage.
Absolutely. So I just want to pressure test one more thing you said. You got from 4,000 40,000 kilograms of milk, right? That was the last place where I got you. You were at
Yes.
40,000 kilograms of milk wasted, right? And how did you go from there in the
Um,
calculations again?
so let me see. Um, so we said it was 10 kilograms of waste in terms of cheese. And we know that 1 kilogram of cheese is around 1,000 kilograms of milk. And
Mhm.
so I said that gives us 10 million kilograms of milk being wasted.
Mhm.
Uh, and then we said 0.5 euros per kilogram. So that gives us, sorry, 5 million euros in waste product.
Uh, so you had 40,000 kilograms of milk, right?
Uh, yes. No,
And the cost of milk is?
I thought we said in terms of the waste product, I thought we said 10,000 kilograms of waste in terms of cheese.
Yes, and that becomes how many kilograms in terms of milk?
Okay, because the conversion is not 1 to 1,000. It's yeah, that's 40,000 in milk. Right.
Got it.
40,000
And so what's the cost then?
Um, so that would be 20,000 euros in waste if we're doing
Got it.
2.5 euros.
Got it. Got it. No, that's about right. That's what I have here as well. So that's really helpful. Thank you, Camille. Give me a second to put together my thoughts again.
Sure.
Okay, great. Okay. So the first thing I'll say is that you were really coachable, right? You had multiple places where small mistakes happen, right? That's not an issue at all. But whenever I prompted you to like rethink your answers, you did a really good job of incorporating the feedback and showing me that you can sort of take feedback well and incorporate it uh, on a very short time scale. So really good work on that. Uh, that's a really good sign. Everyone makes mistakes inevitably in their recruiting process, but as long as you make a mistake and fix it when you're told to, you actually shine even better than you normally would. So great work on that. A couple of other thoughts and things you did really well. I think you one trick in this question was asking for data, right? And you got there eventually, right? Obviously, it would have been ideal if you had asked for it in the first instance, right? Ask for the price of milk in the first instance, but you got there in the middle of the answer. So no worries there, but good work asking for that data, right? You identify that one thing that could be helpful to you is the price of milk, and you ask me for it. So keep doing that, but if possible, do that even earlier, right? And the way you do that earlier is actually, and this is my biggest piece of feedback, is to take time, right? You sort of delve right into the case, which is great, but sometimes what happens when you do that is that you sort of lose track of how the case is running and what the math is, and it's difficult to do things on the spot, right? So take a minute, no worries, take a minute to put down your thoughts, and then go into answering the question, right? And having done that, you sort of have greater clarity on what data points you have and what data points are missing, correct? So always take time if possible. It's all right to take a minute, uh, completely acceptable, because it helps you and it helps me as well, right? So take time and identify the missing variables and ask for it. Similarly, I think you can also take when you take time, you can also like do a rough sketch of what the steps are and begin by answering, I have X steps, right? I have 3 steps, I have 4 steps, right? First, I'll calculate the amount of cheese from the amount of milk. Second, I'll calculate the amount of cheese wasted. Third, I'll calculate the amount of milk wasted. And fourth, I'll calculate the total cost of the wastage, right? So it's like making it very clear what your steps are makes it easier for you to like stay on track and for me to stay on track as well, right? So even for math, numbering is the winner, right? Number copiously. Any good case is a case which is numbered to death, right? So even in math, I encourage you to sort of begin by stating that you have 4 or 5 steps that you're looking at. And again, this is only possible if you take the time to like do that structuring, right? Just to be clear, you don't have to come up with an answer on the spot, right? When you take time, the taking of time is only for the structuring. It's not for the calculations. The calculations you have to do orally, right? It's like as you're like you did it just now. Keep doing that, right? Keep doing the calculations orally, but put some thought into the structuring beforehand, right? Okay, great. One more thing I think you can always do is at the beginning again, perhaps. It's just like sort of more refined if you can connect your question to the structure that you had initially, right? In this case, uh, you talked about cost, right? Your second big bucket in question number 1 was cost, right? So if you can connect this question to the cost framework that you laid out earlier, it just like sophistication. Right? It just shows sort of uh, your ability to think in an integrated fashion. right? So always sort of try to set the context of what this question is trying to answer. Right? It sort of helps you stay on track as well. Um, two, three things you actually did fairly well. You did quite well at. One is converting to percentages. To the extent possible, always convert to percentages. Percentages is how consultants think, right? So any number you have, try to convert to a percentage. Here, perhaps, yeah, you could have converted this to a percentage as well, right? There was a trick that we kind of missed. So convert this to percentage as well. Like what percentage of total cost is 20,000 euros? Like we've established that 20,000 euros is total wasted money, right? But how much are we actually overall spending, right? We are spending 1,000 tons, so 1,000,000 kilograms, 0.5, 500,000 euros is how much you're spending. And we are wasting 20,000 euros of it, right? Uh, so that's what 4% or something like that, right? So always convert to percentages, right? It really sort of helps you get to better insights as well. Two other things you did really well at is one is have a hypothesis, right? Always drive the case forward, right? The ending of this answer cannot be the number. After the number, you have to have an insight, right? So you did a good job of trying to glean some insight from the number. Keep doing that. At the end of every math question, you need to have insight at the end of it. And yeah, that's about it. That's what I had in terms of feedback. Again, I said a lot of things. How do you feel?
Yeah, good. I mean, yeah, I know personally that like math is always the tricky part for me in a case, and keeping things orderly and then walking through it in a timely manner, and then also not making little side steps. So I'm very glad that you walk me through that and make it a little bit more like orderly for myself.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. Any questions or?
No, not so far. I'm ready
Oh,
to
yeah,
keep going.
sounds good. Okay, so I actually have another math question for you. So be prepared. Okay,
Yes.
since the
Let's do it.
potential cost savings do not achieve the client's profitability target, right? We have established at the previous question that only 20,000 euros is the cost savings that we can achieve if we eliminate the wastage, right? That's not sufficient for our targets, right? So since the potential cost savings from eliminating wastage do not achieve the client's profitability targets, we are instead considering a 1 million euro advertising campaign that we think will give a 10% increase in market share and 10% increase in price, right? So for your information, last year, 800 tons of cheese was sold in Greece, and the market is expected to grow by 25% this year. The client currently has a 25% gross margin and a 30% market share. The market price for cheese is 5 euros per kg, although the client already sells pre-campaign for a 10% premium over this market price. So the question I have for you, Camille, is how much incremental revenue will this campaign create? And how much incremental profit will this campaign create?
Great. Okay, so just to iterate some of those facts back to you, um, the 20,000 euros that we could potentially achieve through a better production process is not sufficient for the target we're trying to hit. So instead, our clients considering a 1 million euro advertising campaign, um, which would hopefully give us a 10% increase in market share and then a 10% increase in, was that word press that you said?
Price, yeah, price, yeah.
Okay. I would like to come back to that a little bit, but just to go through the rest of the numbers. So 800,000 tons in cheese is the current market in Greece, with a 25% growth expected this year. And then our current market share is also 25%, and we're selling at a 10% premium over the standard market price. And the question is, how much incremental revenue as well as incremental profit can we expect from this advertising campaign? Did I get all the details right there?
Yeah, just confirm the client's margin is 25% and the market share is 30%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Margin is 20, gross margin is 25%, the market share is 30%.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, and just to go back to that 10% increase in press,
In price.
is in price, in
In
price. Okay.
price. Yeah, price,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Great. That yes. That makes
Yeah.
a lot more sense. Great.
Yeah.
All right, that's very interesting. Okay, and that's a big expenditure to 1 million euros. So we'd have to feel very confident about that 10% increase in both price and market share. But I think the interesting thing to do here is, as you mentioned, calculate the incremental revenue, incremental profit. So I'm just going to take a minute, if that's okay with you, just to set up the equation, and then I'll walk you through the equation before
Absolutely.
actually doing the numbers, if that sounds good.
Sounds perfect.
Perfect. Okay, so the way I would like to approach this is we basically have two, I'd say, sectors or two buckets that we could need for the final equation. So first, we need to understand our market growth and our market share. So I would like to take the number of the current market, so that's 800,000 tons, then multiply that by the 25% growth rate for this year, and then from that number, take our market share, um, and then multiply that by the expected 10% increase in market share. Um, and that's then on the price side, I would like to look at the standard price that we have established. So it's 0.5 euros. Then I would like to look at the premium. So multiply that by the premium that we have over the standard market price. Then I would like to multiply that by the increase in price, that 10% that we mentioned. Um, and then from that final price, I would take 1/4, so 25%, to get our margin cut, which gives us so that our profit, more or less. And then I would like to finally, once we have that profit number as well as that final quantity number, I'd multiply them both to give our expected incremental revenue. Um, and for the incremental profit, I think we could do that with just that increase in profit price. Now that I'm saying that out loud, though, I think in order to understand our incremental profit, we might have to calculate our initial profit first to understand the change in profit after this campaign. So if that sounds good, that's how I would approach this equation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one number which you said, which I'm concerned about. You said that the market price for cheese is how much, according to you?
Um, So let me see. We said 0.5 euros for a kilogram of milk, correct?
Yes, and it's the market price of cheese is 5 euros per kilogram, just to
5
confirm.
euros per kilogram. Great. That's
Yeah,
very
for
helpful.
cheese. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So
Got
with
it.
that information, let's start working through the math.
Uh-huh.
So 800,000 tons in cheese, and we're expecting 25% growth there. So um, let me pull out my note apps here. 25% growth. Um, so that gives us a total market of 1 million tons at the end of this year. Then our
Uh,
market.
a, mi- a million tons,
Sorry, say that again.
just to confirm. What was the initial quantity? How many tons did you have initially?
It was 800,000 tons.
No, it's 800 tons of cheese. That's how much I have.
Oh, 800 tons. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I see, I see. And we know that 1 ton is 1 kilogram, so it's 800,000 kilograms, not
correct.
tons.
Yeah,
Thank you for that
yeah.
correction. So that would give us 1 million kilograms
Uh-huh.
as the current market size at the end of this year. And then our market share of that is, if I remember correctly, is 30%.
Correct.
So that gives us 300,000 kilograms.
Correct.
And then we said that we expect this advertising campaign to increase that by 10%. So that'd be 330,000 kilograms by the end of this year, if the advertising campaign does as promised, of course. Then looking at the price, so we said €5 per kilogram of cheese. Then that is the standard market price, but we actually have a 10% premium on that. And so, in other words, we are taking, or we are selling at 5.5 euros. And we expect another 10% increase in price. So that would give us like 6.25 euros. Sorry, am I saying that correctly? 6.05 euros. No, 6.25, I think was correct.
6 point, how much?
6.25, let me, 6.05, sorry. That is the final amount or that we're charging for a kilogram of cheese. And then the margin that we currently have is 25%. So that's let me see. So that gives us around $1.50. If you're okay with me rounding up, that would be rounding down. That would be $1. So €1.5 of margin that we have on every kilogram of cheese we sell.
So walk me through it again. How did you get that?
So 6.5 euros is our selling price, and then we said a 25% margin. So that would give us, let me calculate that again. Five points, 25%. Yeah, I make a mistake here. It's giving me 1.5 euros again. Sorry, 2.5 euros. I see my mistake.
So how did you get 2.5 euros? Sorry.
So if we're multiplying 6 euros and 5 cents by a fourth, then 6.5 over 6.05 over 4 gives me around 2.5. Sorry, not 2.5. Gives me yeah, 1.5. So my original number.
Got it. But this 25% margin, was that on the old price and revenue or on the new price on a new price?
Oh, I see. Okay. So we have to switch the order around. So my initial thought hearing that is that we would have to take the margin first on let's see how we could best sort this out. So that 24% margin, I imagine, is on our old price. So what we could do is we could take the 25% on the 5.5 euros. So that's our premium price. And then take that 10% increase in price, which would also give us a 10% increase in our margin, in margin number, if that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Great. So 5.5 euros, we're taking 25% margin. Let's see. So that gives us so like 1.2 1.3 euros in the profit that we're taking, and then 10% increase in that gives us around 1.43 euros. Does that sound more closely to what you have?
Yeah, we'll work with that. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so now we have our final price and as well as the final quantity after the advertising campaign. So multiplying those two together, so that's 330,000 times 1.43. If you're okay with it, that I would like to round that to 1.45.
Okay. Yeah.
So that would give us, see the math here. Okay. Okay. So it gives me a final number of around 462 kilograms. That's rounded down. It's actually 462,500 kilograms. So just for ease sake, I wrote down 462,000. Sorry, not kilograms. 462,000 euros as our final increase. Or no, not our increase. That's our final profit at the end of this year after our advertising campaign. And so in order to understand the incremental revenue, we'd have to take our original profit, which was, we said 5.5 euros times 800,000, which gives around see. Um, 404, no, sorry, 4,000, 440,000 euros. So that's an increase of 22,000 euros. And so that is, so that's incremental profit actually. So
but let's pause there for a second. So that's
yes.
an incremental profit of 22,000 euros, you said.
Correct.
And what's the cost again?
The cost.
The cost of the campaign?
Repeat that.
Campaign? The cost of the advertising campaign?
Oh, yes. The cost was €1 million.
Got it. So just without like calculations, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so that seems way out of proportion. So I imagine that my calculations here might be a little off. I might be off by a factor of 10 actually.
No,
So
that's all right. Let's not push the calculation. What's the insight from even if the
so I mean, if these numbers are correct, then I mean you're getting less than or less than like 3% back on your investment in that advertising campaign. So I don't really think that this is something that they should pursue in terms of looking to bump revenue or profit. does not seem to be a financially viable option, and I would like to instead maybe look at other opportunities, like for example the distribution or the share of distributors versus company-owned trucks that we mentioned. Maybe there's something more interesting exploring there in terms of potential cost savings.
Got it. Yeah, so we'll end there for now. Some quick thoughts. I think you did a much better job of doing the structuring at the outset this time. The math was really tricky, so don't worry about that. Like it was a hard case. Probably uh, uh, something you'd face in round two instead of round one. So it was a hard case and it was hard math, but don't worry about that. I think you did a really good job of laying out a structure at the outset, right? You had a very clear direction in which you were heading. So that was really good. It was really easy for me to follow this time where the math was going, right? And again, once again, you were coachable, right? When told to take a hint, you took the hint, right? So for instance, when I told you to take 25% of the old price as opposed to the new price, you really picked up on what I was saying. So again, great job being coachable, and great job having a framework to your math. I think couple of other quick thoughts. I think your conclusion was really solid in that you were able to just identify that this is like a really poor strategy, right? So that's right. It's a really poor strategy. So good work contextualizing that, and even better work connecting that to the framework, right? I mean, you can do it a bit more explicitly, but great work connecting it to the fact that there's multiple options in which you can use to pursue profit, and this is clearly not viable. So you have to go down another route instead, right? So bring it back to the larger context of the case, bring it back to the original structure that you yourself laid out, right? So great work integrating the case overall. I think, yeah, the biggest issue here was just the math. It was complicated. The numbers were not easy. So it happens. Don't worry about it. But just practice a bunch on it, right? So the way I would sort of recommend doing it is just sort of integrating it into your daily life, right? 6 divided by 4 is 1.5, right? I know you're on the spot right now, so it becomes a bit tricky. So just like sort of like build that fluency in your mind right now. You're walking on the street, you see a car plate, right? The car number is 5432. Add them all up, right?
Yeah.
Divided by 2, right? Just sort of like make math a part of your life for the next couple of weeks, and it really pays off because it's a way of thinking, right? The more math drills you do on the MC website, the more sort of you just like see math everywhere in your life and try to sort of build that mathematical way of thinking, the easier it gets. So I think that was a big sort of challenge that we had in this case, and that's the kind of feedback I have for you. Is that it's a lot, it's sort of it's a larger process, right? Do as many cases as possible, but also do as many math problems as possible. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that advice.
Yeah, no worries. So I'll stop there. But any questions for me?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you more specifically on the process in terms of like the little clues you dropped earlier. I imagine they were clues. Would this case have driven towards an alternative, or like, because I was curious about that 50% distributors versus 50% company-owned trucks, and if that would have come up later in the case.
Not directly. I think the next question was a creative question, right? So there you could have brought it in, but we would not be bringing it in from the interviewer's side.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So I think part of the way these cases work is that there's a lot of extraneous data, right? It's not necessarily extraneous, but it doesn't necessarily sort of become immediately useful. So the work of making the data useful is on you and on your shoulders. And typically in the creativity component of the case interview, there's a lot of scope to do that. Yeah.
Right.
So this is like not something that came up from the interviewer side, but you are more than welcome and encouraged to use that in your answers.
Great.
Right?
And the other question I wanted to ask you was,
yeah.
oh, sorry. Was that
and you did do that. In the ending of your math answer, you sort of hinted to the fact that that's a possible place where you can look for cost savings. So yeah, keep doing that, right? And keep bringing in the original case question back into the case at various points in time.
Great. Okay. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask was in what scenarios is it appropriate to ballpark numbers or to round up or round down versus doing the exact math that was laid out for me?
Yeah. What you did was great, right? Always ask your interviewer. Yeah. So if you feel like the numbers are getting tricky, just ask your interviewer if it's okay rounding up and rounding down. Most of the times they might be, right? So yeah, just ask. Yeah.
Great. Okay, that was very clear.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there are too many questions I had. And thank you for taking the time.
No worries at all. Any other questions that on your mind about case interview prep in general, etc.?
Yeah, you mentioned the MC software about for math prep. Could you talk maybe a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have the management consulted website, and I think this is only specific for students who are part of institutions which have tie-ups with MC or students who are on the black belt program right now. There's an exercise called the math drills, which are really, really good sort of drills for you to do. So they're basically just focusing on the math component of the cases. They give you like 100, 200 examples of various math problems that you can solve. And these are standalone. Right? So you don't have to answer the whole case. You just have to focus on the math drills. And I see Jeffit has put the link on the chat. So that's a great place to be, right? You can just sort of isolate the math component and just work on it really hard. Uh, that's one way in which you can sort of build the fluency you need. Because the math is not really hard, right? It's just a matter of gaining the fluency with the language. And one way in which you can do that is by isolating it and just working on it a lot. So yeah,
Great.
yeah.
That was very
Use the
helpful.
link in the chat, guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, those are all the questions I have.
And yeah, totally. And then I see one question on the chat about the tips for the final recommendation. I think there's two parts to it, right? There's a creativity component which you miss out on, and the final recommendations part of it. For the creativity component, very often it's a good idea to not take time. It's perhaps recommended to just go sort of straight into it, right? Because just taking time at every step of the way can be a bit too much. So creativity, feel free to like sort of spitball, right? Again, structuring is key, right? But you can create a structure on the fly. You can be like point one, blah 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 blah, point two, blah blah blah, point three, blah blah blah, right? It doesn't have to always be one, two, three, and then go into then go into each, right? So there is space for sort of being spontaneous and spitballing as it is, uh, but that's only the creativity question. For the math and for the overall structure, I highly recommend that you take the time to think about it and come up with a coherent structure before you answer it. For the conclusion, take time to think again, because the conclusion really sort of has various elements of the case that you have to bring together, right? You have to bring in the math, you have to bring in the creativity. In this case, there were two math questions, so you have to bring both. And you also have to tie in back to your original framework, right? Uh, so take the time to think about your conclusion before you answer it. And when you begin your conclusion, always begin by recapping the case, right? Uh, State clearly who the client is, what you're looking for, and the task that you have been assigned, and then go into the conclusion, right? Uh, bring in the numbers in percentage terms. Always use percentage terms if possible, and provide a rationale, right, for anything you say. If you suggest that you should look into the production distribution channels, then give a reason why. In this case, the reason why is because the advertising campaign is too costly, right? So whatever it is, just you use numbers and use reasoning to justify your answers. Uh, yeah, those are some of my larger thoughts on the way you can conclude.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you both. I know we're a little bit over time, but just to add on to what Ravi was sharing about the math drills, we've got some free drills available to everybody. There's a link in the chat. Check that out. It's like a limited version of the drills, but if you're a student at a partner school or a black belt or super prepper, then you got unlimited drills and just a bigger variety. So check out the link there. There's something for everyone, and we'd love to work with you. We've got so many more resources. We've got a case math course. We've got an interview course. We've got math video drills where somebody reads a prompt to you, and then there's a timer on screen so you can work through the case against the math problem against a timer. Too much to like talk about today, but like reach out if you've got any questions. Book a call with Katie if you got any questions. I'll quickly put our email here in the chat. I know there was dozens of questions that we couldn't get to that were pre-submitted as well. Please reach out and we'll get back to you. We respond to every email that we get, and we'd love to hear from you. If you're a student, you're not sure if you're at a partner school or not, and you get access to all these resources, same thing. I'll just direct you to the email, and we'll direct you to the right place. We'll get you connected with the right people through that. So hope to see you in Black Belt. The September cohort closes next Tuesday, so you got about 6 days to jump into that. Grab one of the last 9 seats. Work with Ravi. Work with our team. We'd love to work with you. Ravi, any final thoughts before we say goodbye to the folks here?
Just casing it's not rocket science. It's a muscle that you build, right? So start work early, and you'll get there. It's like going to the gym. It takes time. It takes consistency. And it takes a it's a language of communication more than like it's not rocket science, right? You have to communicate. It's a communication game. So work at it, keep doing it, and you'll get there. Yeah.
Love it. Okay. Thank you so much, Ravi. Thank you so much, Camille. Really appreciate you both. And folks, we'll see you in early October for another live case. And good luck with applications and interviews.